So the Battlefield community has kind of been on fire recently, to say the least. DICE revealed their new class system for Battlefield 6 a week or so ago before the massive 72-hour playtest, and it's not been a smooth ride since then, that's for sure. It is old news, but long story short, DICE does not appear to be locking weapons to classes for the new game. Everyone is freaking out, and if you've seen my "This is what sets Battlefield games apart" video from a few weeks ago, you would know I'm traditionally very pro weapon locked classes, and I've watched, again, literally every YouTube video on this topic over the weekend. One of my subscribers suggested the Enders video, which was pretty interesting. I watched the Ghost Gaming video. I've read every Reddit post, every article, every comment, every Discord message for both sides of this argument, and this topic is just, it's tough, man, because my gut reaction says this is a mistake. This is not Battlefield. This is not what we were promised when you told us you were going back to the roots for this new game. But another side of me truly understands now the argument for unlocking the weapons and making the classes more gadget based. And to be honest, I never used to give this argument the light of day. I've always been just like, no, weapons need to be class locked. But I have seen some pretty good arguments lately to defend the universal weapon idea. I will say though, half of me does think that's because we've all been playing Battlefield 2042 like way too long at this point, and it's infected our brain. But another half of me is conscious now while playing Battlefield 2042 that when I want to switch to engineer, for example, to take out an enemy tank, having the option to just stay with my current weapon I've been using all match is kind of nice, and I've taken that for granted, you know, and I've been thinking about this whole topic a lot over the past week, and here's the thing. I was actually starting to get on board with this new class system until Temporal, who is practically the god of Battlefield data mining, revealed some horrific information in my opinion, and I'll get to that a little bit later in the video. But that just confirmed a worry I've been having for a while with this new game. DICE just seems to love changing things for the sake of changing things historically, and sometimes it works. Most of the time, however, it completely flops because no one asked for it. And no matter what justifications I make for either side or what argument I hear, I just keep coming back to the conclusion that this new class system is just kind of weird. Like, it's extremely complicated. What's the saying? A game for everyone is a game for no one. We're going to talk about it in today's video. I'm going to share my opinions on the matter. We're going to go over the absolute insane findings by Temporal, and finally, what type of class system I think DICE should ultimately end up going with for Battlefield 6. But enough talk, let's get into it. Really quick though, if you are enjoying the content around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm a Battlefield boy, okay? I love this game. It's my favorite franchise of all time. I plan on streaming soon as well. I just got my PC back, so if you enjoy that and want to stay up to date with all the latest news, updates, leaks, or just want to hear me talk my shit about Battlefield, definitely stick around while we wait for the new game. I know by now most of you guys have seen the information regarding this new class system. DICE recently published a post breaking down everything that they plan on doing with classes, and if you haven't already, definitely go over and read that. But just to quickly summarize, because I don't want to waste a lot of time on this, pretty much how it works is there are 4 classes: Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon. Every class can use any type of weapon, kind of like 2042, but classes are going to have what's called signature weapons, which ironically enough are class locked, right? So Recon's signature weapon, for example, are snipers or bolt action rifles. When they use a bolt action rifle, they benefit from increased weapon stability and automatically spotting enemies when ADSing because it's their signature weapon. But if an assault player was to use a bolt action rifle, they would not only not receive those benefits that Recon players have, but if I'm getting this right, they would receive some sort of penalty for using a sniper, whether it's decreased weapon stability or longer ADS speeds. And then vice versa, if a Recon was to use an assault rifle, they will receive some sort of penalty in weapon handling or something along those lines. I don't believe the penalties are really clear and defined yet. It's all subject to change, of course, but that's kind of the idea of this new class system when it comes to weapons. Each class also has class-specific gadgets, which I'm very happy to hear. If DICE just went free-for-all on the gadgets as well, then this would be absolutely busted. So I'm glad there are at least some sort of restrictions when it comes to gadgets, because they do have to define the classes somehow, or else there's really no point of classes. But even how they're handling some of the gadgets look completely broken, which we will talk about a bit later in the video, don't worry. But to me, it's sort of weird when you really think about this class system, in my opinion, because it's almost like they know weapons should be locked to classes, and on one hand, they acknowledge how important weapons are to class identity, but they're so focused on making sure they appease both player bases that they've created this like hybrid system that allows for any class to use any weapon, but also discourages classes from using any weapon. It's just weird, right? Because if the penalty is strong enough for using a weapon outside of your signature class, I'm guessing most players will just end up using their traditional class weapon regardless. And at surface level, that doesn't sound absolutely terrible. Like on paper, that kind of works to appease both sides of the argument. Like I said in the intro, I have found myself appreciating in some regards the freedom that 2042 gives you when it comes to weapon choice. It's nice that I can change my class to fit the needs of my team while continuing to use the weapons I've chosen to focus on and level up or unlock attachments for. And if you play 2042 as well, you probably can kind of see where I'm getting at, or can kind of agree with me. But if you really think about this, why do you and I feel that way? Personally, it's because I've been playing 2042 for so long at this point that I've kind of just accepted that's how the game plays. Like the classes are solely defined by gadgets in that game, so my playstyle has adapted to fit the style of that game. However, when I go back and play an older title like Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 1, or even, let's be fair and say, Battlefield 4, which is a game that practically has unlocked weapons, I usually don't think that way. I still will change my class style to fit the needs of the team, but I'll generally just accept whatever weapon choice I am given for that specific class. However, the one thing these older games have that 2042 doesn't is the fact that choosing a class in those older titles is a lot more impactful to your playstyle and provides more of a rock, paper, scissors kind of element to the game, because in those older titles, there are two incentives to choose a specific class: gadgets and weapons, whereas in 2042, gadgets are the main reason for choosing a class, which in my opinion, the older titles offer a lot more depth and creativity because of this, because one player could choose engineer in BF4, for example, because of the RPGs, while another player could choose engineer in the same game because they want to use the PDWs, and then a third person could pick engineer to get access to both. I've always been a believer that limitation breeds creativity with Battlefield, and I think the challenge of having to be put in a certain role on the battlefield when picking a class creates a better, more engaging dynamic to your playstyle. And some people will disagree with that and advocate for more of a free weapon system, which is completely fine. But to me, the fact that they are even doing this whole signature weapon mechanic proves that they know weapons are an important aspect of class identity. And unfortunately, I feel like this attempt at appeasing both sides of the argument is going to end up creating a very confusing, messy, hard to balance class system that doesn't really know what it's supposed to be, which ultimately leads me to my opinion on the matter. Just look, no matter what argument I hear for either side, I just keep finding myself coming back to the feeling that they should just lock the weapons to classes. Okay, like innovation is good, and I appreciate DICE for trying something new, but historically DICE is notorious for doing the old, if it ain't broke, we're actually gonna fix it. It usually ends up being kind of head scratching, because you're like, what were they why did they waste so much time changing this when it was completely fine? Like I think this new class system just sends a bad message to the core fan base who desperately wants a return to a classic Battlefield type of game. Now, to contradict myself, I will say at the end of the day, and Enders kind of mentioned it in his video, which I agree with, no matter what class system DICE chooses to go with for Battlefield 6, it's not going to make or break my decision to purchase and play the game. It is true that once you get to a certain skill level in this game, the class system kind of just falls into the background and becomes somewhat irrelevant. Like a skilled player can utilize any class and do extremely well. Now, Does that justify potentially destroying one of the fundamental fabrics of the Battlefield franchise to me? No. Like the class system is one of my favorite aspects of Battlefield and what I think, separates itself from the other shooters in the mainstream like gaming world. But I do understand the argument that Enders makes, and I can accept and agree with some of those points. However, once I saw this next little tidbit of information we're going to talk about, I started to realize that maybe DICE is actually doing too much, okay? Like recently, Temporal discovered some extremely major problems in the game files when it comes to the Assault and Engineer class, and we've been seeing rumors of this in the leaks from Battlefield Labs, but I always just assumed, like I think most of us assumed and hoped, it was a bug or maybe just put in place to help DICE test more weapons at once. But no, it's not a bug. It's real. It's a designed, deliberate decision. And what am I talking about, you might be asking? Well, apparently the Assault class can dual wield primary weapons, which is absolutely ridiculous in a Battlefield game. And luckily, I haven't seen anyone happy with this decision. It makes no sense. It has no place in Battlefield. It's way too overpowered. And the only arguments I've actually seen in support of this decision is just basic like, lol, but it's funny as fuck, bro. Like, haha. No, it's unbalanced as fuck, and it makes no sense in this type of game. And to add to this, the Engineer class can dual wield RPGs, and you just start to think, you're like, when you sit back and really think about it, and you realize that they have probably been in multiple design meetings when it comes to this, and allegedly they've been playtesting the game for over a year, and yet still they somehow decided to go through with this idea. It just kind of makes you pause and you start to get a little bit worried about the decisions being made. Like personally, this was kind of the final nail in the coffin for me, and what continues to keep snapping me back to the argument that they should just return to the roots of the class system and keep it simple and lock the weapons to classes. Because if they are making decisions like Assault being able to carry dual primaries, it immediately makes me question the decisions they are making with the class system, as well as the rationale and logic behind it. And yes, I know, but Sam, this is why we have Battlefield Labs, to test new ideas and features. Things can change, and you're right, but I will 100% choose to die on the no dual primaries hill forever and ever. No one can convince me that is a good idea for Battlefield, no matter what. Not even David Sirland himself, who I have a lot of faith in for the next Battlefield game based on his history with the franchise. Not even David can convince me that this is a good idea. And look, I'll wrap up the video with this. I personally would love to see a return of the Battlefield 3 class system for this new game. I think it would match perfectly with the surrounding design philosophy when it comes to Battlefield 6 and the focus on destruction and urban maps, more close quarters type of gameplay. I know everyone wants Battlefield 4 classes back, and I appreciate Battlefield 4's class system for its ability to give more weapon choice, but Battlefield 4 wasn't perfect, and honestly, if it was up to me, bringing the franchise back to its roots with Battlefield 3's class system just makes a lot of sense and matches everything else they are saying about this game. I know some people say, well, look, they can't lock weapons because of the gunsmith in the new game and the ability to put larger magazines on assault rifles. That doesn't really make sense to me. Like, I get what they're saying. If that was a problem, I feel like that would be a lot easier to fix and balance than trying to balance a class system that has almost no weapon restrictions and dual wielding primary assault players. You know, like that just seems way harder, but hey, maybe that's just me. Please let me know what you guys think though. I know we all don't agree on this. That's fine. That's what makes this fun. Like, how do you think they should do classes in the next Battlefield game? Please type an L in the chat for dual primaries, or a W, I guess, if you like that for some reason. I would love to see what you guys say in the comments below for this one. And if you made it this far in the video, I do truly appreciate you sticking around to the end. I haven't made a video in about a week or so, and if you've been hanging around the channel for a little bit, you might notice that you are watching PC gameplay now, not PS5 gameplay. I've actually always played Battlefield on PC, and thank God I'm back. Not to shit on console or anything at all, but I'm just horrendous with a controller for some reason. Even with aim assist, I just suck on controller. So now you guys can actually see some half decent gameplay while I'm talking. I also plan on live streaming soon, so let me know if you guys would be interested in that. I want to figure out more ways to engage with you guys outside of the videos, because I truly do appreciate the support on all the content lately. So I just think streaming would be the logical next step and giving you guys not only more content, but also another avenue of engagement when it comes to talking with you guys and hearing your opinions. You know, at the end of the day, I love this franchise and it's a blast talking and getting to know other people who do as well. But if you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving me a like. It helps me a lot. Subscribe if you are new here. We are getting very, very, very close to the reveal of this new game. I'm guessing we're going to get a reveal Summer Games Fest, which I think starts June 6th. And then maybe like, I'm guessing like they're going to reveal the game and then they're going to like tease us and, you know, give us another date for a trailer like mid-June. But we're just going to have to wait and see. It is getting exciting though. So if you're excited for the new game, definitely stick around while we patiently await this thing. But until the next video, my name is Sam. Hope you have a good one. Bye.